Welcome back to the Student Hub Live. In this session, we're going to take a look at making the most of online study. Now, many of you may not have studied for a while. Some of you may not feel so confident with a computer, but these Access modules are specifically designed not only to teach you new things, but to do so in a really, really exciting way. So don't fear the online stuff. See it as an opportunity to learn lots of exciting and very valuable new things. Now, we're going to be taking a look at this subject, and I'm joined by Victoria Clark, and Katie Briggs, who's a YO32 tutor, and Simon Sheridan, who is the chair of YO33. But I just want to mention beforehand, in the nature of online study, that it can be a very, very busy place. There are a couple of ways that you can engage with the chat. You can either just turn it off, and there are different interfaces. So sometimes if you look on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, you can change that so it can be bigger or smaller. So choose the right proportion that feels okay for you. And there's also a pin on the top right-hand side of the chat that looks like one of those little pin things that you might see on a Google Maps thing. And you can pin the chat and scroll down. But it's great to chat to other students, but it's not essential. So if it's all going too fast and you're feeling overwhelmed with it, don't worry. All of the stuff that we're saying here to you today is an opportunity to do so in a really friendly and nice way. Everything is in the modules. There's forums that you can go and ask questions of, so please don't feel too stressed and enjoy the vibrancy of the event as much as you possibly can and relax and try and take as much as you can in, because it's all available on catch-up after the event as well. So if you'd like to watch these videos again, you're most welcome to. Right, we're going to take a look at online study. So let's take a start. We've got some widgets we'd like you to fill in, so some polls, my everyday online life, so how much of the time are you online? Do you ever watch videos online? And do you ever read news or information online? So we'd like you to fill us in on all that. Now, Victoria, we started to look at the VLE, the virtual learning environment, which, as we know, is always there, but isn't necessary to engage in until block 2. So that's a little bit later, about week 8 of the modules. So let's just take a look at that. And I'd like you to sort of give us an idea, a little bit of a recap, I guess, about where the important things are.
Okay. Well, we've got two main bits, I think, that you need to kind of use as your navigation on the website. One is the study calendar, which is the white bit sort of down the middle. And the other main bit is the navy banner with words on that's above the banner, the navy stripe. So if we think about the study calendar first, that's how we navigate each week's work. So it takes you through what you need to do each week. You've got 2 tabs at the top, current weeks, which shows you the current 3, all weeks, which shows you the whole lot. And then if you want to expand to see what's in each week, there's a little arrow at the right-hand side.
And you can tick them off, which I like, and then it will show you how much you've done, which I also like.
It's a real sense of satisfaction to see your progress through. Yeah.
Yeah. So the study calendar is sort of the basics, and the one thing I like about it is it sort of gives you, I guess, a menu of things to do each week. And sometimes I know when I've been planning my week, I think, oh, I could watch a video then when I'm making a bolognese, or I could, you know, read that bit of the book when I'm going to the swimming pool, and try and think about how I can sort of spend my chunks of time and fit them into my life.
Absolutely, yeah.
Brilliant. Now, the other thing that we've been talking a little bit about is forums. So, Katie, can you tell people who may not know about a forum what a forum is, and what your advice is as well for sort of managing your time on the forum, which is a problem I have?
It's very easy to get distracted with forums because there can be so many posts to read. But basically, a forum's a chance for you to discuss with other students, maybe topics that are going on in the module. There might be discussions about activities in the module, and just to share your knowledge and experience, really, and support each other as well. It's a chance to sort of get to know other students on the module, because it can feel, as a distance learning student, like you're the only one, but you're not.
Yeah, good. I'd be interested to see if you at home have been on the forums and what you think of them. I've heard some people say, I wasn't sure what to post. And I've heard some people say, I posted something and no one replied a bit, you know, and I wasn't sure then whether that was like something people didn't like. I think sometimes it's really nice to post and say, oh, I also live around that neck of the woods, and I also like cats, or whatever. Sometimes you don't have to say something really profound. It can just be enough to say to somebody, oh yeah, I've got that in common, or but I like this.
Yeah, definitely having that supportive comments from other students is really nice. I mean, in past groups I've had students who have really supported each other through the forums. They've never met, but they've really formed friendships through the forums and supported each other with topics of the course, but also just generally being a student.
Yeah.
And it's been quite a positive thing.
Because it's a different thing, I guess, with all the chat right now that's scrolling down so fast, and the forums are asynchronous, they're not in real time, so it can have a completely different feel. HJ and George, how do people feel about the forums?
Well, I think some of us are a bit nervous about posting in the forums to start, but we were talking about this yesterday, how some of us can agonise a bit about what to write and it can take some time. But with the forums, it's not a matter of worrying about what you say or spelling. It's just to start, just introduce yourself. If you have any questions, post them in there. And I'm sure a lot of people are thinking exactly the same thing. And that's what it seems to be for everyone else in the chat. We get a question answered and we're like, oh, I was thinking that as well, I should have asked it, which is perfectly normal.
It's just the same as the way that you would use the chat. You don't have to be any more formal or any cleverer or know any more. It's exactly the same sense of community and friendship as is happening right now in the chat. So nothing to worry about at all.
And very often people will have asked the same question, but because they can be really busy spaces and you might not want to get distracted, it's hard to know then. Tell people about the sort of search function and how they might sort of be clever about finding out if people have asked that question before.
Well, you can certainly search for it in the forums. If there is very important information that the module team think you need to know about, we will stick that post to the top of the forum, so that will always be there every time you go in. So that's a good thing to look out for as well.
I think Rebecca says a bit how I feel with some of these forums, that it can be a bit overwhelming as there is a lot of information in there. I think the most important thing is your study material. So that's what you want to focus on, how you're doing. The forums then is a chance just for you to ask questions and speak to your fellow students and teachers. So if you are feeling a bit overwhelmed now, you can always take a step back and look at it at your own pace.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. There's lots of multitasking going on. Carla's making a shepherd's pie. Michelle's making some soup. Robert's doing his monthly newsletter. And Jennifer is trying to stop the baby from climbing over the table, which is very important. Don't underestimate the importance of that task. Right, Simon, you have a great job because we're going to talk about some of the interactive online activities, which are really, really unique to people who've never studied at the Open University before. So what are these and why are they so good?
Yeah, so essentially it's a different way of doing things. Obviously, the activities are there, you can fill them in as you work through the activities, and it's just a really sort of interactive way of actually doing the activities, and it's a way of you putting your feelings and your thoughts down actually on in the box available to you as you're working through. So.
Brilliant. Let's take a look at one so we can see an example of one of the interactive activities, because there's some text boxes students can write in.
Yeah, so essentially this one here, as you're looking here, it's an activity about water. It's in book 2. So you read through the question, and the activity is what you're trying to look at is how people used water in the past and how people use water in present day. So if we look at the next slide, there's a text box which you can actually fill in. So there's a couple of answers here. So the question here is about how water use is differently today as it was in historical times. So you put the answer in the text box. So once you've put the answer in the text box, and the important thing about this text box is it's not a marked text box. Nobody else sees it. It's just for you. So it's essentially almost like your own online diary or logbook that you can put the things you're thinking about in.
And you don't need to keep those but sometimes they can be a really worthwhile activity to maybe mention to your tutor. They're the sort of thing, I guess, that in a classroom we might say, right, let's all have a think about this, and you'd make some notes and then you'd talk about it. That sort of equivalent.
It's there for you during your progress through the module, and it's something you can reflect on as you look back on it, and it's to see how things have changed and how you look and how you've progressed through. So, but I guess the key thing to say again, I try to labour the point, it's nobody's marking it, nobody's going to even see it. It's just for you. It's just for the student. The tutors don't see it, the module team don't see it. It's just you. Yeah. So.
But when I was a student, sort of quite busy and stuff, I used to skip some of those because I think, there's no point in doing that. I just put an X in and then go reveal discussion. Yeah. But actually, with hindsight, I missed a lot because sometimes it's not about the right or wrong answer. It's about that process of thinking things through. Certainly. You don't recall it in the same way, do you?
No, I mean, I did an OU law degree a few years ago, so I did exactly the same because obviously very busy, and exactly what you say, you do miss out because it's almost like you skip into the end and you're missing that thinking, the thought process, which you're just missing out. So I would stress that it's an important thing to try to find time to do.
Absolutely, and a lot of our students do have the time to do those things, and a lot of the time they're going to be prioritising stuff. So it's a great thing to do if you can. as well. Okay, brilliant. But nobody sees those. That's the most important thing, and they're there for you, and you can talk to your tutor about them as well. Now, a lot of people are already doing a lot of stuff online. We've asked about online live. 92% say that they do a lot of things online. We've asked about videos. 76% say that they often watch videos online, and 71% say they're often reading newspapers and articles online. And our online study is very similar. There's a range of sort of stuff to do, activities to do, things to fill in. You can't break it, can you?
No, you really can't. I mean, so if you've got access to the module website, it's good to just go and have a little scan around it now before you need to use it for study. You can't break it. Have a little look what's on there. But yeah, there'll be things where you're able to kind of skim over them, things that you'll want to read a bit more deeply and interact with. So there's a nice range of things on there.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, Katie, we were talking about forums before, and I'd like to talk a little bit about these and show an example of where the two forums are that students can then access, and talk about the differences between, you mentioned that there are tutor group forums, I think Joseph was talking about those as well, and also a module-wide forum.
So, yeah, there is two forums that the students have access to. They have access to a tutor group forum and a student forum, as you can see on the slide. The student forum is module-wide, so covers lots of different topics and also has lots of discussions related to the activities that are on the module. And the tutor group forum is more focused on just your particular tutor group. So it's a much smaller group of students involved, and you can really sort of build up some relationships. And as a tutor, I sort of use that as a sort of resource bank, but also as to give them notes on tutorials, when our next tutorial is, and just general discussions. I like to encourage my students to add their own discussions as well to build up that sense of community.
Brilliant. Now, sometimes we have activities, so there'll be certain things in the week and we're like, hey, go and have a talk about this on a forum. And sometimes it's on the big forum, the module-wide forum, and sometimes it's on a tutor group forum as well. Like these boxes, I think you do benefit from putting stuff in. How does all that work?
Basically, on the forum, there will be a thread started, which is it'll come up as a title, and you can actually post on your thoughts. And it's quite interesting because students will post on their thoughts, and then you've got time to actually read those students' thoughts and think about your own on it and add on to the discussion. And it links in with the module online materials because it says which forum it's on, so you know where to look for that discussion.
Brilliant. Now, some of them, I mean, we've heard from students saying, I'm not quite sure what to put on the forum, but actually a lot of these activities are really simple, like where do you buy things from and where's your stuff from, you know? They're things that you don't need to have a sort of a research or a degree to be able to answer. You can just say, oh, actually, I've been buying some Peruvian asparagus and don't really know it was grown there.
Yeah, so a lot of the activities is very accessible. There's clear description about what you've got to do, and it is, like you say, it's things that students can access very easily, and it might just be, what do you think about this video that you've watched, and that kind of thing. So they are very accessible for students, and don't require, like you say, they don't require a lot of in-depth discussion, and you can write your response as you think it. You don't, like they were saying, that you don't need to think about rephrasing it all the time. You can just pop your post down.
Because the best thing I think about access students and about mature students who may not have studied is they've often been doing loads and loads of other things. They might, I mean, we've heard, you know, Robert's writing his monthly newsletter. We don't know what Robert's doing, but he's probably got loads of experience doing something completely different. He might look at that activity with his professional background and say, well, actually, blah, blah, and blah. Whereas, you know, Jennifer, with the baby, has been learning about multitasking and, you know, safety management and risk assessments and all sorts of other things. So she might then approach something from an entirely different perspective. And that richness from life really adds to those discussion points. So our students don't often understand how much they bring to the table through that experience.
Yeah, I mean, the students from Access come from a huge range of backgrounds, like I said, a range of experiences, and bringing those different backgrounds and knowledge and experiences really enhances the discussion and really sort of gets students thinking about different perspectives and different points of view. And it's, just a positive thing, really. It's really supportive.
Oh, well, how about this for support? Janice's granddaughter's just bought her a nice cup of tea. Although it's National Coffee Day, I think I've been told, so, you know. But OK, so there are some activities there, and we've been talking about some of those. And also sometimes it might just be a case of reflecting on results or a poll or something like that students might get and then say, was that what we expected or not?
Yeah, so I think it's always really useful that students join in those, because actually the reflection is important to think about what you've understood along the module, and also it's nice to see what other students think. And I agree with what Simon says, that, you know, you should really, if you can participate in all the activities, you really should, because you get so much out of them, and actually sharing those ideas is worthwhile.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, we've been talking a little bit about some of the social media and things as well. Anything you'd like to add about that from your perspective, from your experience?
Social media has its place, but I think for study-related questions, I would always go to the forum or your tutor. It's great to have a social media support group, but when it comes to what the assignments have got to do and what the meaning of certain module activities is, ask on the forums or ask your tutor. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. And your tutor might have put an icebreaker activity into that forum you can contribute to. So there's plenty of ways to get involved. Okay. So the point of all of this, which we've talked about, is consolidating learning. So how does all of writing in these boxes and then writing on the forum actually consolidate your learning? Where's the value to the student in doing this?
I think really, actually, to post on the forum, you've got a thought about what you're going to talk about, and actually that thinking about what and posting actually makes you understand what you've been learning in the module, and also actually reading the different perspectives that other students have really develop that understanding, and so it is very important.
Brilliant. Okay, let's take a quick trip to our hot desk and see how everyone is at home.
Well, we currently have a bit of debate in the chat, don't we? We're kind of split between team tea
coffee
and team caffeine,
Yeah.
especially with it being World Coffee Day. So, but we're enjoying other things as well. We're enjoying our breakfast.
Yes.
We're enjoying coffee and shortbread. And Lauren's quite lucky. She's got her boss to make her a cup of tea. And
There's even a bacon and cheese turnover being eaten.
I know.
Which I'm quite
getting
jealous
hungry.
about. Yes.
And we're also talking about setting up our study spaces as well. So Hannah says, I live with my dad and I've completely taken over the spare room. So no guests over at the moment. And Stephen's got the corkboard on the wall, the study planner pinned up, all ready to go. And Yasmin's studying in her living room. She plays a lot of programs, so I have a nice big desk and storage for my study materials, and she can keep an eye on the kids at the same time. And Lauren said, I think I've gone somewhere else with the chat, but that's it. I know, there's so much going on.
Chloe Ann is my favourite. She's made a good a pen holder out of a cutlery dryer, which I think is very inventive indeed. But I'm really loving the comments around how this event is making people feel like they are not alone. Dale says he doesn't feel alone. Valerie says that she's crying with relief listening to the support around mental health. Alexandra saying she's so glad she's joined. She's learnt so much. It looks like there's great support. Leanne says she's loving the live. It feels real. Can't wait to get started. And Hannah is welling up with relief and it's taking away her nerves. So it's very, very lovely.
A great quote to put on our board is from Lauren when she said, someone very wise once says, first I have coffee and then I do the things. And that's quoted by Lauren.
Well, I'd like to see some of these study spaces, in particular the makeup box with the shout. Yeah.
Yes.
So, HJ, how can people send pictures for you to print out really small?
Well, we had loads of pictures sent in yesterday, and we put them all on our board of people's study spaces, the view from where you are, the selfies, or even just a picture of your study pet that you like to annoy with all your knowledge. Apparently cats are the favoured ones at the moment. But if there's anything you want to send in to us, just email us, studenthub@open.ac.uk. Just let us know you're happy to use your picture, and we'll love to put it on our board and show it on the show as well. And we have things to give away as well. So if you send something in to us, we'll send something back to you. We've got all these amazing posters from the OU that you can put in your amazing study spaces as well.
Which is an ironing board. And Chloe Ann's got as well.
Okay, we need to see these.
Yes,
So send us a picture. That'd be brilliant. We'll put it up on the board. Carla's definitely on Team Coffee. I think we should be Team Cuppa because that sort of includes both and is really...
Although there's squashes that
Yeah, that wouldn't be so good. Well, okay. leave that to you guys. Okay, I just want to end with this session with just a couple of tips about working online, because there's some things that online offers that books just don't, like being able to bookmark things, use search functions to find various things. So can you tell us really, really super briefly about those? Because then I just want to ask an end point about note-taking.
Quickly, you can actually bookmark material online. So if you're reading online and there's a particular page that you want to come back to, maybe you think it might be helpful in an assignment or a TMA, then you can actually bookmark. There's a little logo at the top of the screen that you can click on and it will save it for later. And students in the past have told me that actually that's really, really useful. They've said, they were so amazed when they found it, like, that's the best thing ever. So you can actually bookmark things and save for later, anything that's online.
Brilliant. And some people were saying yesterday that they like taking notes in their books and things, and online note taking is a little bit different. Although we had a fab session with one of our colleagues, Jay Rickson, who was showing us about all of these really creative ways of doing sketch noting, which was fab. I loved that last night. How can people most usefully take notes from things that aren't books?
That's a good question, and everybody will kind of find their own way. So the interactive activities are a great way of recording your answers to those particular questions, and you can export those out from the website. So there will be instructions somewhere. Ask on the forum if you don't know how to do it. Some people do like to take hard copy notes. Some people like to have OneNote open or a Word document. You know, there are many different ways of doing it.
Brilliant. Okay, lovely. Now, any questions that we haven't answered? We do have a question and A session next, so we'll do that. Simon, I'd just like to end with you. You're fairly new to the Access bunch.
Yes, yeah.
What have you most enjoyed about today's programme?
I just think it's a very good way of interacting with the students, and it seems very interactive and very fun. In the past, I've done things that are a little bit more staged, should I say? This seems far more interactive and it's more fun, and I think it's giving a really good vibe across, and I'm excited. I'm good to be part of the team. I'm really looking forward to it. So.
Access students are just the best. I love interacting with them, except maybe for Sean, who has who has a 9-foot Burmese python round his neck, and that's when I think online spaces are really useful. Okay, well, thank you very much for that session. We're going to show you a video now from somebody who you might recognise, George Curry, and then we're going to talk about how to pass the module. So stay tuned for that next very important session. I'll see you in just a moment.